Hello, my name is Matt, and welcome to Cut Content. So we're in the middle of Overwatch's Uprising event, the new PvE mode. Second one, I think, second one ever. It came after Junkenstein's Revenge, which I enjoyed, but some people thought was just too horde mode-y, which I get. So this one you move around a little more. Anyway, I'm playing as Tracer, and we're gonna have ourselves a good time. So, the background for anybody who's interested in Overwatch lore is, this is 7 years before the multiplayer game, and we're in King's Row in London, and basically this terrorist robot sect known as Null Sector has come and is now destroying everything because they're terrorist robots. There's actually a pretty cool storyline about, like, you know, peace or whatever, and it's Trace's first missions, but we're gonna shoot robots. Like, I mean, what do you want from me? That's the simplest way I can phrase it for you. Anyway, I'm just playing on the simplest difficulty because it's more just to get a feel for it, experience it, have a good time. Plus, I've tried playing on hard difficulty, which is the second of 4 difficulties, and I've never succeeded. It is really difficult. Maybe I'm also just terrible. That's, yeah, I mean, quite distinctly a possibility. But I figured, you know, we're also gonna, part of the reason we're playing on normal is because otherwise I would not be confident enough to play Tracer. I'm very good as Tracer in multiplayer. I shouldn't say that in case I've released multiplayer. You know, for me, I'm pretty good as Tracer. But I feel much better in the hard version playing as, like, Mercy, and I just don't think it's that interesting to watch someone play as Mercy a lot of the time. So I'm not gonna put through that. Yeah, this is my first Overwatch video. I was not gonna do them because it was like, you know, what's the point? Everybody else is already doing Overwatch videos. But then I was like, you know, this is new and exciting, and best of all, because it's PvE, nobody can, get too salty at me for playing an online game. Yeah, I know people. I know people don't always like let's plays of online multiplayer games, but they're just chill, you know. You don't have to get involved in a story that you kind of have to maybe somewhat pay attention to, or do silly voices for ridiculous characters who would even go to that kind of effort, I dare say. Yeah, this is. You know, it's kind of nice. Just get in, you shoot some robots, you get out. I wonder what their names are. Like, I mean, I guess they have designations, I think, not names, but they are, like, a terrorist group. I assume there's some sort of organized leadership, which leads me to believe there's some form of individuality. Like, I mean, like, Bastion is portrayed as being individual, but because he's, like, partly malfunctioned, but also, so what? Just every other Omnic? Because Zenyatta's an Omnic. Although, what's the difference between an Omnic and a robot? Look, I don't know a lot of things about Overwatch, turns out. Or rather, they haven't said a lot of things about Overwatch. And if they have, I've just kind of missed it. But the important thing is that, at the end of the day, I don't have to feel bad because I'm pretty sure these people are going home with their wives and children. Or husbands and children. No, it's the future. Any gender of robot can serve in the armed forces of a terrorist organization. That's the beauty of 20 whatever year this is. What year is this? It doesn't matter. I want to say 2070 something? 2030 something. I'm just gonna keep guessing random generations in the 2000s, so I'm gonna lay off now because that's not gonna help anyone. But one thing that I thought was a little weird about this future business is that, so I guess London, they say in, like, either the Uprising comic or in a cutscene for this or something that, like, part of London was destroyed and that's why it got kind of rebuilt all weird. But if you've been to London lately, like, one, that city has been destroyed so many times in history that just, like, I mean, you know, the most recent one was in the 1940s. Nothing there is old. For one of the, like, oldest cities in Western Europe, it's all brand new, and so much of it is just now paid for by Saudi millionaires, and just the result of massive amounts of gentrification, thanks Margaret Thatcher, that it's a kind of an architectural mongrel, and also nobody can afford to live there. and they should be able to. There was some, like, I don't know what the right term for it, not exactly rent control, but something similar. Yeah, anyway, so, you know, affordable housing. Margaret Thatcher got rid of that. But we are such big fans of her in America that we even let Meryl Streep play her in a movie. Margaret Thatcher doesn't deserve Meryl Streep. She's got a statue in Parliament across from Winston Churchill. That's messed up. You know, Winston Churchill was kind of an odd guy. Really, like, one of the only people who was super into World War I. And it sort of led to this whole thing where he would make these sort of outrageous suggestions that, like, might have worked when he suggested them, but by the time they got implemented, everybody was, like, ready, all the enemies were ready for it. So this whole thing with, I don't know if you guys have heard of Gallipoli. Anyway, so, yeah, he organizes this whole huge naval operation to land at this place called Gallipoli. And it takes so long for the Admiralty to actually get moving that it pretty much just is a complete shit show, and nothing works, and Churchill gets blamed for all of it, and some people think that's fair, some people think it's not. You know, I'm not one to say, I don't know as much about it as I would like, but if any of you, you know, if either of you who end up watching this video are from Turkey, you'll know Gallipoli as the battle where Ataturk, the founder of modern Turkey, became famous. Yeah, pretty interesting story, yeah. I actually did not know that, but I was interning for Congress a couple of years ago, and like in Washington D.C., and I go up to deliver a congressional memo to somebody else's office, and the first thing the dude, like, there's a dude sitting on a couch who I recognize from his picture, like, as being a congressman, and the first thing I walk in, he asked me what Gallipoli is, and, you know, if he'd asked me a week earlier, I wouldn't have had anything to go on, but I just listened to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History Blueprint for Armageddon, like the episode about Gallipoli, literally that same week. So I was able to just rattle off a ton of stuff, and he was like, "You're the first person who's come in. Like, I've asked 5 people that today. You're the first one who's answered me." And I was like, "Oh man, that is such a." I mean, I was like, both proud of myself, and also, it's like, when should you be proud for knowing something? Because on the one hand, like, I just learned it from a very popular podcast. On the other hand, like, wherever you learn something is a valuable way to get information. Anyway, so the point is that, like, I know I was proud of myself, but not sure what to make of it, but he asked me all about the various forces of the Allied powers. I can always, because I know shoot, what was it? Oh, I always say the wrong, whenever I mean Austria-Hungary, I say the Ottomans. Whenever I say the Ottomans, I mean Austria-Hungary, so I'm not even gonna try. But anyway, the side that Germany was on is what most people must know it as, was the Central Powers. I think it was also the Allied powers in World War I, things that ended up being in Second World War. But that always just feels too easy, so I'm inclined to say otherwise. Yeah, so he asked me about them, and I, like, had actual answers for him. And then he asked me about the other side of things, and I had nothing. Nothing at all. I'm pretty sure I mean, yeah, no, what am I saying? It's Gallipoli. Of course it was the Ottoman Empire. And he was like, "Have you heard of the name Ataturk?" And I was like, "Yes." And the subtext I like, didn't put in there, what that I left out was, I have played Civilization. So then he kind of gave me a quick crash course on modern-day Turkey. Dude was awesome. I wish I could remember his name right, but he was a representative from California. Really just awesome guy. We talked about Game of Thrones. That was a good day. That was like one of the better days of that whole summer. I mean, it was a great summer overall, but have you guys ever been to DC in the summer? I know, like, some of you probably have, just because DC's a popular place, and also because I know, like, 2 people who are going to watch this video, and one of them lives by DC and one of them visited me that summer. So if you're either of those people, suck. And if you're not, anyway, the point I was getting at was that DC in the summer is basically a gigantic hellmouth. It's horribly muggy and disgusting and bad. But, like, also, something about DC makes me like that city, and I don't really like a lot of cities. I don't know, it feels alive. Maybe it's all the, I think it's just gotta be all the political action. Man, now I'm just thinking about politics, so I'm gonna date this video a little bit, today. So when, I don't know when this is gonna come out, maybe it'll be a week after I say this, maybe it'll be a few weeks after, maybe, I don't know, something else. Point being, that was a terrible bomb. That today, Trump's former campaign chairman began the process to officially register with the US government as a foreign agent. Yeah, it's pretty messed up, right? Well, today is also the same day that Donald Trump, after this revelation, said that negotiations, or not even negotiations, relations with Russia are at an all-time low. Okay, so I don't want to be... No, I do want to be this guy. There was this whole crazy thing called the Cold War from about 1945 to about 1991, where things were way, way worse. And also, if your former campaign chairman is saying that he's like a Russian agent, I don't think you have a leg to stand on there. And I know this is so far away from like the worst thing that Trump has said or anything like that. I mean, we are just incredibly swamped in ridiculous tales. But I think that one bears mentioning, because, like, part of the way that Trump acts about immigration and foreign nations is, in many ways, very reminiscent of the way that Joe McCarthy acted about communism in the Cold War. And then just talk about relations with Russia being at an all-time low. It's like, motherfucker, they had a doomsday device. And we both had devices that were designed for mutually assured destruction. And I got angry enough talking about that I stopped paying attention and got murdered. So, oh shoot, that's not the right button. Thanks. It's just such a basic, messed up thing. I mean, and I was talking about this with somebody today, and they were like, oh yeah, you know, when he said that, I thought it was dumb, but even then I was only taking into account the last 5-10 years. I didn't realize, you know, it didn't even occur to me that when he said all time, like, that counts all time. It's messed up. Christ. But yeah, like, I was talking with my roommate about Trump the other week, and we were talking about the infamous grab her by the pussy bit. And we were talking about the thing that's most messed up about that is that if you listen to the entire thing, like everything he said during that particular interview, grab her by the pussy is like the most normal thing he said, or the least problematic. And, like, I don't think I have to, but I cannot overstate how messed up that is. But everything else he said was somehow, like, the vanilla, standard, run-of-the-mill sexual assault portion was the least messed up bit. I cannot believe. I'm just gonna end it there. I cannot believe. Anyway, the point being, Trump put his body in all these robots, and now we're fighting them in London, is I think where we're gonna end up going with this. Man, I'm like 80% sure that, when, way back before all the World War I stuff, and all the Trump stuff, you know, I don't even remember, I'm sure I cut myself off in the middle of a sentence, and you and I are just never gonna know what that sentence is gonna be. That's a mystery that will haunt humanity, probably, for, I'd assume, ever. But it's one of those things that, you know, archaeologists doing all that, future archaeologists doing all the digging that they do on the internet, like archaeologists, will be like, what was it? What was he saying? It could have been really important. And I'll be like, it could have been. But there's no way for you to know. There's no way for any of us to know. It's long gone. And, like, even though there's video evidence, it doesn't include whatever I initially thought I was going to say. Yeah. So now you've got that living with you the rest of your life. So, sorry, but, you know, sometimes it's the way things are. You know what is also sometimes the way things are? Sometimes we win, and it's amazing. Anyway, yeah, so, that one, yeah, that went pretty well. I'm embarrassed that I died. It's kind of pathetically easy, and I shouldn't have, but I was angry, damn it. Alright, there's our pose. Play of the game isn't me, so who cares? Everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon for more cut content.